doesn't matter how old you are, you're never going to be perfect at it. And you can still learn things because you go through so many other things besides just, let's figure out how to do your housework and schedule your housework. And you teach about how to handle life and how to handle it on its own terms.
So, welcome to the Simplified Organization podcast, 15-minute conversations with real moms about managing our homes and family life cheerfully to the glory of God. We can actually enjoy housework and love being homemakers when we focus on truth and work with gratitude. I'm Mystie Winckler, homemaker for 22 years, homeschool mom of 5 with 2 adult children now, and author of Simplified Organization, Learn to Love What Must Be Done. I write and podcast at Simply Convivial, and I also run Convivial Circle, a community helping women to excel at homemaking and do life cheerfully. And today I'm joined by one of our Convivial Circle members, Judy Troxler. Judy has been a homemaker for over 40 years. She has 4 children who are each 5 years apart. 3 of them are out of the house, and her oldest is still at home. She homeschooled for 28 years and is now working at a homeschool co-op 3 days a week. So thank you for joining me, Judy.
Thank you for having me.
So I asked Judy to come on this show and talk about homemaking as a mom of adult children. It's so easy and so common when we're in the thick of raising our kids to think that the mess is all the kids' fault. And there won't really be a mess or maybe even any homemaking work to do once they're grown and gone. And our work as moms, as homemakers, is so focused on the kids when they're small that we might assume when our kids are grown and gone, there isn't any homemaking left to do. So I'd love to hear more of your story, Judy, about working on your homemaking skills after raising your kids. What was your motivation for joining Convivial Circle and making, those skills a priority at this season in your life?
Yeah. So when I joined, I was still homeschooling. I don't even remember. I stalked you for a long time before. I was taking any free stuff you had from the newsletters and whatnot that you sent out. And then when you opened it up to a membership, I joined the membership because I needed so much. And then that really opened the doors for me. But I was still homeschooling, but I had one, I guess he was high school, pretty much, maybe eighth grade, because my kids are 5 years apart. So when the third one left, I still had him. And of course, I needed lots of help. I've needed lots of help. I wish this had been around when my kids were little, and because I've always needed help. And maybe that's just me. Some people are really organized and whatnot, but I really needed to have some direction. Yeah, I've always struggled with the housework. I don't particularly enjoy it, but I do if I have a checklist and I'm making progress. I've just always been disorganized about it and didn't have a good way to do it and figure out which is the best thing to do. I always had a joke with one of my friends that, company's coming, so I'm going to start in the closet. That's because, and there is a method behind that, in that if you clean enough stuff out of the closet, then you can put all the other stuff into the closet. But it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Why don't you start with the counter that's piled up to here, and that would be a good thing. But homeschooling has a lot of stuff and a lot of junk, and so that was a big thing. And just organizing my time was probably my biggest motivation for being here. Figuring out the schedule, which seems like it always changes. It's
Mhm.
constant change. Sometimes each school year comes with something new, maybe a new activity that you have to figure out, that was my time to do this, now we're going to this lesson or this particular activity, and how am I going to fit all this in? And so that was always a big thing. Or when you have a new baby or whatever it is, there's always some new thing that comes up. So trying to rethink all of that was always a struggle for me. And that's one of the things I found, even with the sweep and smile, was you started where you were, and it wasn't like somebody else that was giving you, oh yes, you should do this from, 8 to 9 or whatever. It was, what's your life like and where can you fit these things in? And it took me a while to kind of figure out how to customize it for myself. And that's part of what I feel like I learned here, and am learning, still learning, because it's still a difficult concept for me. And but one of the biggest things I learned was that reality thing, starting where you really are, prioritizing what is important and what really is. Because I think the biggest example was when you're picking your top three for the day. We talk about a lot of times on the shows and the Zooms and everything, how you have to look at the reality. If you're homeschooling, then that's going to be probably your top two things, really. You might get one other thing done if you're really, really lucky, but that's the reality of it. And try not to expect that you're going to spring clean this, that, and the other thing. It's not going to happen. And so I guess it's a reality thing for me.
Mhm.
And it's the constant reminders of that is so helpful for me, because I have to hear it more than once. I have to hear it multiple times. And the perfectionism, I think I've learned so much about the perfectionism and what, you know, when I'm doing it, because I wouldn't even realize I was into that perfectionism thing, but it's not going to always be perfect.
Mhm. Well, I know one of the things that I have enjoyed so much in our community and on our Zoom calls is when you and a few others of our moms who have mostly grown children are still engaged and still learning and still growing. And it's so easy to think like, oh, but then when I'm not homeschooling, like I won't have anything to do. Like there's gonna be no purpose. What are we gonna
Yes.
fill our time with? And it's like,
Oh,
well,
exactly.
actually, there's still a lot of decluttering to do, and there are still
Yeah, because
and
funny,
there are different opportunities. And
yeah, it's funny thing when those kids leave, they don't necessarily take all their stuff with them. They take only the things that they need for that school year. If when they go away to college. And then when they're married and whatnot, I have two that are married, and they don't want that stuff. Funny how that is, but I am my biggest mess maker. I think I've discovered that I am the biggest mess maker. And then, like, I have one still in college, and when he comes home, it's kind of like sometimes he brings laundry, sometimes he, has things he has to get or has to do. And so life is so unpredictable when he comes home. We just don't know what's going to happen. He's coming home less and less, but you're kind of on call pretty much
Mm,
when they come home. And so that helps. Okay, my schedule's been, everything I had in place is now, messed up, so I have to find a way to, rethink it. And that organize your attitude, that's a big thing. You can be nice about it, or you can be mean about it, or you can just that mindset change. But and then as they grow, God leads you into different things. It's kind of funny how all that happened. I thought, yeah, I'll be able to sit home. I'll finally get to clean my house when everybody's out and I'm not homeschooling. But God called me to something different. And a lot of people my age are taking care of parents who are aging parents, taking care of grandkids. My sister takes care of her grandkids and helps with her grandkids a lot. Mine are not in town, so I don't get too often, but I try. I mean, sometimes my daughter will call and say, "Hey, can you come for the weekend and, you know, help with the kids? I need help," or something of that sort. So you kind of want to be on call for your adult children, and yet, sometimes God calls you to your own thing. And I'm didn't ever guess, that a couple of years ago that this is what would happen. But I'm teaching at a co-op, and I teach a lot of classes, but I love it and I really enjoy it. But it doesn't have it doesn't leave me with the time I thought I would have
Mhm.
to organize everything. And even so, I think I would be a little bit bored just sitting at home if all I was doing was, there's not as much laundry, there's not as much cooking, there's not as many things, but God calls you to something else sometimes. And we don't know what that's going to be. But what I
Mhm.
do know is that all the things you learn when you're a young mom, how to be flexible and all of that, it really comes into play when you get older because you don't know what you're going to have to do. I mean, there was a time when my stepmom was living here in Houston. She's now staying with my brother that, all of a sudden I had to go because she needed something, she needed help for this or that. And you just don't know what you're going to be, what you're going to need to do. And learning to manage your time and your house. Sometimes when things get a little crazy, your house kind of goes, like right now, mine's kind of pretty in pretty bad shape, but I've got spring break this week, so I'm hoping that I'm off from school and I'll be able to maybe do some things. It doesn't matter how old you are, you're never going to be perfect at it. You can still learn things because you go through so many other things besides just, oh, let's figure out how to do your housework and schedule your housework, and you teach about how to handle life and how to handle it on its own terms and how to handle your life, how to keep organized and where to start when you do get way off track. It's you get in there and dig. Maybe you take this one little spot and transform it for 10 minutes and organize it for 10 minutes. That's all you have to do for that amount of time, or just get back on your routine. You don't have to, do everything that you were going to do, for 3 weeks. You can just start where, okay, what's my next thing that I'm supposed to do? It's, Friday, I'm going to clean the bathroom. And that's a good thing. That's the place to start. So you teach us how to start how to get started, how to move forward, and the fact that you're going to do laundry. You're going to have to do laundry again. It's not one and done. And the dishes, they keep piling up. They just multiply in that sink. I don't know what it is about that sink, but it just calls for all the dirty dishes. And then when you think you've got them all done, somebody brings in something else. So it's never it's never done, but it's all about attitude and doing it. I love the title of your book, which is, to the learning to love the things that must be done.
Mhm.
Uh, that is it's such an attitude change. And, a couple of weeks ago, I don't know if this is off topic or not, but you had talked about who do you serve? And we think we're serving our families, and we really are. But when you said, we're serving God, that's the ultimate thing. That's how we're serving God. That was a huge game changer for me because I, I've thought about it and I knew that, but bringing it to the forefront really kind of gives you a little bit more motivation to kind of do this with love and to just learn more and to try to do it better because we want to give God the best that we can.
Mm.
Yeah, there's always something you can learn, and I find this community is so amazing because I don't have time to read every little thing and whatnot, and I kind of pop in where I can. I'm a little behind right now, but I
No
am
such
good.
thing as behind.
There is none because I can, and luckily they're all saved on on the hub that we can go back. And I do a lot of that on my way home from work. It's like a 40-minute drive. So oftentimes listen to them on the way home. And that's been a huge blessing to me. But the community is such a beautiful community. I feel like you can benefit from the wisdom of all these ladies. And what I found is the love. There was one thread that I was kind of reading, and there were a lot of advice things for somebody that was having a problem, and just the love that was poured out from these ladies. I thought, wow, these are top notch, Christian ladies that just really know how to love online,
Mm.
and it's such a beautiful thing. It's such a neat community to be with. So anybody that might be thinking, oh, I'm too old for this, you're never too old. You're never too old to receive the kind of advice that is here, and to benefit from just learning something new, or honing your own your other things, or being able to help someone else. I mean, that's a really cool feeling too. Is, maybe you know how to do one thing better, somebody else knows how to do something else, or they have a tip on how to do this. And I've received so much help from people, and hopefully I've given some help to people as well, but I don't know. I'm
Well,
still
that's why you're
pretty,
here, Judy.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty needy, but I really feel like there's just so much to learn all the time. And this has been a huge blessing for me. It's the best money I spend, because not only do I get how to help, how to keep on track with my housework and my family, and feeding my family, and organizing my time, but I get so much psychological help, mental help. I mean, just the reminders that are simple things that, God's got this, and, we don't have to be perfect. We can make mistakes. We can start again. Sometimes my day has just been totally messed up, but, I'll go in there and I'll make my bed, and it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but my
Mhm.
morning three, make my bed, figure out what we're going to have for dinner, and pray. And so, if I do those three things in the morning, but sometimes it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but that centers me and that gets me started. And it's then it's like, okay, at least I know, even if it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I know what we're going to do for dinner. Even if it's that late in the afternoon, it really works best if I do it in the morning. But, that and the weekly review is a huge thing. And there's a couple of weeks that I haven't done it. And boy, you can tell. It's like, I have no idea what we're having for dinner, because that's part of my weekly review. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do today without that daily card. I may not get everything done on the daily card, but at least to have a something to help me get get started.
Mhm.
If okay, I need to do this, and that's the thing I need to do today, and that's one of my priorities. And even though sometimes I feel like your program also teaches us what to do when it is totally derailed. And, okay, I'm not going to get my card done. Let's move on and accept it. And we'll find, I may have to make a new card.
Mhm.
Sometimes that's what I do. It's a real quick, okay, this card is not happening today. What can happen today? And I so need that help. And I need the encouragement for other people, from other people, to help me with that. And so many blessings that I've received from this program. So much encouragement, and it's so beautiful.
Well, I think that's one of the things that is, I mean, I think the Zoom calls are my favorite part of the community. It's because I think we're all still learning. Like you pointed out, we're all still learning and growing. And so we're sharing from a place, we're sharing our own insights in our own life. It's not like someone has it all figured out and is giving answers here and there. It's like everyone sharing from their own humble place of learning that makes it so beautiful. Yeah. So thank you so much for being a part of our community, and that we do need other women to share and to know that we're not alone. We aren't the only one. We can just get up and get going again, smile and start. And so thank you, Judy, so much for sharing today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
If you need camaraderie with like-minded, truly amazing women, then Convivial Circle is where you will find them. It really is an amazing group of women, all learning and growing. And we would love you to learn and grow in your particular context with the responsibilities that God has given you as well. We spur one another on to more and more love and good works. And we'd love to have you join us. You can go to simplyconvivial.com and click the green Enroll button, or you can find the link in the show notes. Convivial Circle is a community where everyone is practicing, repenting, rejoicing, and repeating. And if you also want to hear more conversations from older moms who have adult children, I've collected a playlist of those conversations right here. Our community does have women from no kids yet all the way to grown kids, retired moms. It's a wonderful community. And we'd love to have you join us. And repent, rejoice, repeat in community.